What is going on, YouTube? So coming back with my final preview of the day, which is the Oregon Ducks, and I believe my first Pac-12 preview. So moving into the Pac-12, there's a couple things that really stick out to me about Oregon. One is just the unpredictability of the Pac-12 North this year. It seems like kind of a logjam between Washington, Wazoo, and then Oregon. And it should be interesting to see what plays out between those three teams because Stanford kind of seems like they got that spot at the top. But anyway, go ahead and move into my three key players. And first one is Dakota Pruitt, the transfer from Montana State. So Oregon decided to go in the realm of trying to get a transfer quarterback once again. Vernon Adams worked out okay last year. If he'd been healthy for the full year, had been settled for the full year, then it might have been a different result for Oregon. But it didn't really seem like he was healthy and settled really for more than a stretch of 4 games in a row. It seemed like you couldn't go a stretch of 4 games in a row without like I said, getting hurt or something else happening. But anyway, if he can have the same type of success but consistently, then it could actually be a good move for Oregon. But in the back of my mind, I also feel like they should be able, or they should finally start trying to develop their own quarterback. But you look at the other options or option, which is really Jeff Locke, and that's it. He has not played well at all when he's been thrown into the fire. And then Taylor Ailey, however you say that, I haven't really seen him play at all, so it's hard to say what to expect from him. But move into my next key player, and it's Oregon's biggest name, and that's Royce Freeman, the stud running back coming back for his junior year. He's really just by himself now as the running back in Oregon's system. He's one of the best running backs in the country, and he doesn't get the recognition that he deserves, in my opinion. And I think he is a low-key Heisman contender coming into this year, especially talking in the Pac-12 when you got so many good running backs. The fact that he sticks out as one of the, I won't say he's the best because that's Christian McCaffrey, but I'd say hard-pressed to find a better running back in second than Royce Freeman. But again, he's got to have the offensive line there blocking for him. This is an offensive line that returns, I believe, only 2 or 3 starters, so that's going to be a tough transition for them. But I think it's something that Royce Freeman can get past. Like I said, he's extremely talented and extremely underrated. So moving to my third key player, and I got Charles Nelson, the defensive back for Oregon. He's kind of an all-purpose guy. Him and Tyree Robinson have tremendous potential to lead a little bit of an inexperienced Oregon secondary, but one that I think will be the catalyst of this Oregon defense this year. You know, Charles Nelson, a playmaker all over the field. He's a guy that can return punts for Oregon too, extremely fast. And like I said, alongside Tyree Robinson, these guys got a chance to be able to make a defense that is able to create a lot of turnovers. They got Brady Hoke coming in this year and should be able to improve that defense, which leads me into my first X factor, which is secondary improvement. This is a secondary that got torched last year. If you remember the 62-point game against Utah, I believe gave up 52 to Washington State. Granted, Washington State had one of the best quarterbacks in the country, but still, this was an Oregon defense that got destroyed last year, including that comeback to Bram Kohlhausen against TCU in the bowl game. Like I said, they bring in Brady Hoke, a new defensive coordinator. Mark Helfrich pretty much overhauled the entire coaching staff. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the new coaches coming in. And, you know, it's going to be hard to adjust for this defensive line, and the secondary is going to have to make up for it. DeForest Buckner's gone, best player along this defense, and you know now they turn their attentions to T.J. Daniel, Henry Mondo, and Cody Carragher. I think 3 guys that really can be good this year. So move into my second X factor, and I've got consistent quarterback play. So if Oregon can get consistent play out of Dakota Pruitt this year, I was mentioning it earlier about Vernon Adams. You know, he was good last year, but it wasn't consistent. He seemed like he was hurt a lot. And if Pruitt can stay healthy, stay as the number 1 guy, then it'll go a long way to Oregon competing in the Pac-12 North once again. They've got a pretty good set of skill players on this team. This is a team that brings back Devon Allen, Dwayne Stanford, one of the better wide receivers in all the Pac-12, Darren Carrington and Kirk Merritt. There's a lot of talented receivers on this team, not to mention Royce Freeman and Taj Griffin behind him. in the backfield. So if Dakota Prokop can be that final piece to be able to make this Oregon offense go, then this will be a dangerous team this year. So moving to my trap game, and I think it will be the Nebraska Cornhuskers. They play at Nebraska, I believe week 3. Yeah, week 3. And it is in Lincoln, and it is their toughest game of the early season, at least their toughest out-of-conference game. And it comes, like I said, kind of a downtime for them. It seems like a game that might be a little bit tightly contested, a Nebraska team that should be improved this year. So Oregon can't take that one lightly. And then my biggest game for them is Stanford. That one's pretty obvious. They've got a lot of big games on the schedule, notably at USC, at Washington State, and Washington at home. Even at Utah, it's a big one, but none bigger really in recent memory for the Pac-12 North than that little Oregon-Stanford rivalry, one that has determined the Pac-12 North quite a few times over the past couple years. And it seems like Stanford has been able to get the best of Oregon sometimes, and even though I believe Oregon came out on top last year, Stanford was still able to come away with the Pac-12 title. So again, a big game to watch there, one to mark down your calendar, Saturday, November 12th. So one that I will definitely be watching, and hope everyone else does too. So moving to my record prediction for Oregon, and I have them, this might be a little bit surprising to some people, but I have them at 11-2. I look up and down their schedule, one that's not extremely tough, and I see just a pretty smooth season for Oregon. Like I said, there's a lot of X factors that play into this, but they could very easily come out of their non-conference schedule 3-0. I believe it is only 3-0. I was talking about Colorado being out of conference, but anyway, UC Davis, Virginia, and Nebraska are 2 teams that they can beat. And then Colorado, obviously, another one they can beat. Coming out 4-0, it'll be a big thing for Oregon. And then you look at the last 2 games of the schedule, at Utah and at Oregon State. Seems like 2 winnable games there, too. So that right there is just 6 wins. And I think when you look at the rest of the schedule, Cal, Arizona State are both winnable games also. And I don't see any reason why they should lose those games. And then it's just left up to Washington State, Washington, USC, and Stanford. And I think that they will come out with wins in 2 of those 4 games. Again, a lot of this is banking on Prokop staying healthy and consistent. But I don't think they will make it to the Pac-12 championship game. I still think that will be Stanford. And I do think that Oregon will be able to get a win in their bowl game. I think they're kind of pissed off about the way that game ended last year, that bowl game against TCU. I believe it was the Alamo Bowl. But anyway, that pretty much does it for this video. If you have not seen the rest of my college football previews, go check those out. The entire playlist will be in the description below. That's pretty much it. See ya.